So Paxton, you've been at this for what, since 2014-ish, I think you said, which is you're now at about the 10-year
Oh
mark,
my
which is
gosh, that
really
is like
amazing.
crazy. That's way too long.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I
You should be proud
actually,
of yourself. You're a veteran in the F space. But on that note, I'm sort of curious. I'm sure lots of people are really curious. Like, what are the biggest challenges, or some of the biggest challenges that you've run into over the 10 years you've been doing this? And I guess specifically, I'm curious, do you ever get burnt out?
when you develop an app, the best part is before you launch it. Because you know nobody complains about it, right? Like it's easy. You have your vision of how it should go, and it's easy. When you launch it, you know then you got to deal with the customers. You get bad reviews. For me, so I I did all this myself at the beginning. I wrote the code, I did the marketing, I did the website. I had a freelance graphics for some ideas. I bounced ideas off some people, but I was doing all the work
Right.
the back end servers on AWS and then developing the code. And I just started off on Apple, and later I ported it to. I had this guy port it to Android.
Gotcha.
So you know you got to keep the scope small, and it was a lot of work. So I'm single, right? Like I didn't have, I had my kids half the time, and so I had a lot of free time to do this too. And I was making money and flipping houses, so I had this perfect setup. But it was hard. It was a lot of work, and I would do so. I wouldn't test properly, so it's really hard. I should have said, yeah, it's really hard to test the app yourself because you know how it should work. And I was never
Right.
good at testing. And you'd release it, and then there'd be a bug. It would crash. You get bad reviews, and those are discouraging moments. And you realize literally this. I'm tapped out. There was many times I wanted to give up because it's like I realized I don't have the resources to pay testers and to by the time you explain it, I may as well do it myself. Like,
Right.
like, and it was just exhausting many times. And I think I made mistakes too in the beginning where, as a developer, as like an entrepreneur, a problem solver, I'm thinking of all these ideas. And oh, if I add that, people will like it. If I add this, people will like it. Well, it's just a little bit more code, or it's just this, and I over engineered it.
Right.
Big mistake. And I ran into being exhausted and overwhelmed. And I think I probably stopped for a month and then I picked it up again at one point. And I think after it released, I think for me it was at the beginning. It was really hard to getting the bad reviews. It's funny. The people who like it don't leave good reviews, but there's plenty of people out there who are very very happy to trash the app, and some of it was legitimate, but most of it was just spiteful. It seemed like so that was always challenging. It's important in those times to have a network of friends. You got to make sure if you're married, your spouse is with you because it's a journey. Like
Right.
it's not you're dragging them through this difficult time. It's there's highs and lows. I think for me when I would get discouraged, an email would come in about somebody saying how much they loved it. They would
Oh, that's
thank me.
awesome. Do you print those out and put them on the wall?
Yes, yes, I do. I do like do a screen grab and I do
You
look at them.
should.
Yeah.
You should.
So that's that kind of fills you up. I think that you also with apps, you always have this. You don't know what other people are doing. There's a huge risk because somebody could be doing something that's going to eclipse me,
Right.
and you're doing all this effort. And so I kind of believe my app is somewhat unique in its presentation. It's got some uniqueness to it that it would be very hard not to copy it exactly if somebody wanted to do that. It's hard to replicate that. It's hard to kind of eclipse that. It's not that somebody couldn't. I don't know how, but like the deal with Map, remember MapQuest, right?
Right.
Google decided to get into the mapping business and turn them off overnight. Like it
Right.
was like, and that could happen in software development.
Right. And especially in the app space with Apple,
Yeah,
right? They've bought companies, but worse yet, they've come out with apps that have essentially put apps out of
yeah,
business over
yeah,
the years.
yeah. So, so yeah, that's always a risk. But I think for me at the end of the day, I go back to if the customers didn't tell me how much they liked it and everything, I probably stop by now and to pursue something else. I've had three apps, right? So this one worked. If this one didn't work, I would have probably done something else.
Like not done apps.
Yeah, or whatever. Like I'm doing some other things now with YouTube and other channels, and you kind of try it out. If people like it, you kind of follow the money. You follow the, or not the money, just the energy behind it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
I like that.
you can't pour yourself into things that don't work. So I took the aviation one off the market because it was a hard sell, even though it was innovative and cool. Like I couldn't sell it.
Right.
And I took and I have atmosphere weather, but people like it, but I don't really push it. I don't really develop on it anymore because the driver of the one is the one that sells. So that's where I put my energy.